Now welcome to another lightning response video, where this time we got a couple related questions, starting with this one from Chris Benson, who asked, "Hey Thor, do you think doubling down on Rey could be similar to the whaling we see so much of in the game industry? I've met some people that genuinely love Rey and the sequel trilogy, and talking with them, it strikes me that they're the kind of fans that will watch and love anything, so long as it's their favorite franchise. They will watch it and any new thing relentlessly, spend obscene amounts of money on the merchandise, and happily pay to keep drinking the blue milk. Could this all be Lucasfilm trying to cater to and find more of them?" And though I certainly think they would love to find or create more fans just like that who buy and consume everything without putting much thought into it, and as I've said before, I think that's even what Disney thought of Star Wars fans when they purchased Lucasfilm, that they were the type of people who are just going to eat it all up no matter what. As long as the Star Wars logo is on it, they are going to keep buying this. That Star Wars is essentially the golden goose that is going to keep cranking out golden eggs for them to collect and cash in. Even though if we look at history, if we look at the prequels, clearly Star Wars fans have always been rather discerning. They're not shy about letting their voices be heard. And so I think Disney had this idea that if we just go back to the OT, if we just make things like that again, which The Force Awakens clearly was trying to be, everybody's going to love it again. And again, we have this golden goose that we don't have to worry too much about. Now, all that said, I don't think most Star Wars fans are that way. In fact, I think they found out the hard way that most Star Wars fans are not that way, that they're not just going to buy anything and everything with the Star Wars logo on it, though there are certainly plenty who do. And the funny thing is, I don't think you have to cater to those fans. If you are a customer of mine, and my business is whatever, it doesn't really matter, and you literally tell me, or you show me through your shopping or spending habits, that you are going to support me no matter what I do, that you are literally going to buy every product I put out there, if I'm moral and ethical, which I think I am, and if I owned a business, I would certainly try to cater or please my most hardcore or dedicated fans. But if I am Disney, and I am maybe not so moral and ethical, I have shareholders I am trying to make a lot of money for. That is what they ultimately exist to do. The CEO of Disney and everybody who works there, it is their job to make money for their shareholders. So if I have customers that tell me, I don't care what you do, I'm going to buy it anyway, I'm going to do pretty much anything. I'm going to give you anything and you're going to buy it. You've already told me so. So you would really think they would actually tend to cater more towards not necessarily the fans who are just really upset and saying, you do this or else, or I hate Star Wars, it's dead to me. You don't necessarily cater to those fans because you've probably lost to them. But if you have fans who are just voicing their criticisms about the content you're putting out and they're not unreasonable or being overly angry, you would really think those are the people you would kind of try to focus on. If we have this certain group who are going to buy anything, and then we have this other group who aren't going to buy anything, we have this group in the middle who just want Star Wars to be good, and thus you would think those are the fans you would cater the most to. If you have this large percentage of fans who don't seem to have any interest in the character of Rey, and the ones who do seem to like Rey seem to like whatever you're putting out, does it really make sense to double down on Rey? Does it really make sense from a business standpoint? We could argue story standpoint and how that could be different. But does it really make sense to cater to the people who are your most happy and are going to buy whatever, who would be just as happy if you didn't give us a Rey movie or trilogy and did something else entirely that the other people might like? So though I don't disagree with you, I certainly think they would love more fans to just buy anything and everything. I don't think the way you get Star Wars back on track is to actually cater to your happiest fans. Now, I'm not saying you ignore them or take them for granted. I'm not trying to say that at all. Certainly, if fans are happy with something, you should look into the reasons why, and you should try to embrace that. But if you have this group of people who seem to be happy with anything, the feedback they're providing really isn't all that useful to you when you really stop and think about it. If you're just going to tell me, I don't care what you do, I'm going to love it, then that doesn't really help me understand why other people are maybe unhappy with it. And so yeah, you try to make sure you don't anger the fans who are super happy and buying all your stuff. Certainly you want to keep them that way, but you need to examine why you currently have less fans than you once did and what happened to those fans. Again, I don't know that you're listening to the overly angry people who just say Star Wars is dead. But yeah, you need to listen to the people who are somewhere in the middle. You need to figure out why a lot of people or a lot of fans just have no interest in Star Wars and try to figure that out. not just try to take full advantage of the fans who love everything and try to milk them for all they're worth. I'm assuming eventually they will wake up and stop doing that, or most of them will. Some will just always love Star Wars, I'm sure. But anyway, let's now move on to this question, which again is kind of related, and it comes to us from Hawking Jim, who asked, "Hey Thor, I have an idea about what's wrong with Lucasfilm. I think they're suffering from a massive amount of toxic positivity, and it's affecting all their IPs. We're going to make an Obi-Wan spin-off, and it's going to be the rematch of the century. We're going to hire Rian Johnson and give him his own trilogy. We're going to make a sequel to a lesser-known fantasy IP and turn it into a Disney Channel show." I think you're talking about Willow there. "We're going to make a sequel to Indiana Jones and watch Harrison Ford shuffle around like an old man again." What, you don't like any of that? Well, then you must be a racist, sexist, bigot, or homophobe. There's nothing wrong with my ideas, it's you that's the problem. There's never any self-reflection, never any, hey, let's pull back and reconsider. It's just all ideas are right. If you disagree, well, you must hate your own mother. And like I said, this certainly pairs with the previous comment about how there is a group of fans out there who will love and watch and buy virtually anything. And I've said it before, I understand that mindset. I don't hate you if you're the Star Wars fan who just wants to love everything, because I used to be like that. When I was younger, I just loved all things Star Wars. I didn't really think about it critically at all. I didn't want to think about it critically. I just wanted to, again, love it. And it wasn't until sometime during the prequels, and mind you, I enjoy the prequels, but at some point I was like, these movies aren't the best movies ever made. There are some problems here. I think they could have been better. I still love them. I still enjoy them. I still think they're great movies. I will defend them. But you know what? I can certainly understand the people who are saying these are tragedies, that I hate the prequels, I can't believe Lucas made these. I see your point of view, and you have every right to express that opinion. And I don't think it was until the sequel trilogy with The Last Jedi where I was really put in a position where I'm like, you know what? I really don't like this. I kind of really understand those people who didn't enjoy the prequels, and I think I have every right to speak out against them as well and say, hey, I don't like this, and I think other people don't either. This feels like the wrong direction for Star Wars. And certainly we fans are not going to always agree or ever agree on what Star Wars should be, what is good Star Wars, and all of that. We do have to kind of be tolerant of the fact that sometimes something will be made that we don't personally enjoy, that other people do. And so this becomes a really tricky subject, like I was saying before in response to the first comment. If you have a group of fans who are just happy with whatever, it's actually really hard to know what they genuinely like. If everything they do is met with positivity, well then Disney is probably looking at that, and maybe if they're not so bright or they're not really thinking about it or thinking it all the way through, they're like, well, we have this group of fans who really like this, so maybe we should double down on that, right? If there are a lot of fans out there who enjoy Rey, or enough of them to support a trilogy, maybe that's what we do. We just go all in on what they've been enjoying, even though we have this other large section of fans who don't really seem to like that. They do seem to listen to the positive side of the fandom, and you could certainly call that a toxic positivity because it kind of poisons their thinking. I've been doing YouTube for a long time now, and let me tell you, I love getting positive comments. I love people who tell me they enjoy my content. Certainly, I enjoy all of that, and it's great. It's very refreshing to hear someone enjoy what you're doing. But at the same time, the comments that are in some ways the most useful to me are the ones who tell me, Thor, you make good videos, or you do pretty good, but there's this thing here and there, maybe you could do better, or maybe you're not, doing this well enough, or maybe this isn't as good as it could be, which is basically constructive criticism, because I am going along with that first comment again, I'm going to ignore you if you just tell me you hate everything I do and I'm worthless, or I should go die in a fire, or whatever I've read over these last many years now. I don't take that to heart. It might sting a little bit, sure, but I'm not going to say, you know what, I'm going to change my content because this guy screamed and shouted at me about how horrible I am. And so again, we have this weird dichotomy in the Star Wars fandom where you have the fans who love everything, you have the fans who hate everything, and really it's the ones in the middle that you should probably, if you're Disney, try to listen to. Try to listen to these constructive criticisms that people have. Why aren't some of the fans watching Star Wars? Why don't they like this? Don't listen to the ones who are just saying, hey, everything you do is great, and don't listen to the ones who say everything you do is terrible. Don't listen to either the toxic positivity or the toxic negativity. I'm not saying you ignore their existence. Again, you do want to examine why some people are happy that don't love everything but are still happy, if that makes sense. And you do want to examine why some people hate what you're doing that they used to be fans but no longer are. But again, the answers you're looking for are probably somewhere in between those two extremes. You should listen to the fans who are trying to give you constructive criticism, constructive feedback, both good and bad. Well, I think that's going to be all I got for you this time. Now it is your turn. Take to the comments below. Tell me what you think about anything and everything I had to say here, or answer these questions yourself. What approach should Disney be taking? Or, of course, you can always ask a question for a future lightning response video. All you got to do, you start your comment off with "Hey Thor," and then you ask away. But whatever you choose to do, leave a comment below. Let's talk some Star Wars, and until next time, thanks for watching.